2.
This is Elias Dufexis. You're watching that Tom Clancy show.
I always forget that I put that sound blurb in there, and it throws me off every time. Welcome to That Tom Clancy Show. I'm Mr. That Tom Clancy, your lovable robot host who happens to be wearing a hoodie. Welcome to today's show for August 12th, I think it is, which is a Wednesday, which is nice because it means very likely if you're watching this as it's live and not on YouTube, which is also cool, like and subscribe, hit the bell. It really helps the channel. Then it means you've made it through, most likely, half of your work week. And that's excellent. I think that's the only good news for today. But, it's better than nothing. God, I wish I had some good news for people. But I do actually have good news because I have a cool guest. My guest today is the lead artist on a little indie game known as Freyr. It's charming and it's a little mashup. Seems pretty cool. Bits and pixels. If I may introduce my guest today, Maven. And look, I have a little name thing there, so in case you come in late, you'll know who it is.
I arrived at the party.
Yeah, you have. And now the part of the party lets you know who's at the party, who the party is for. So I guess that's good news. So, hi, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I am actually super nervous for no good reason, but that's because I am terrible talking live to anything at any time.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you're not talking live to everyone in the audience. You're only talking live to me.
That's true.
So, first off, let me just come in here and say, Alligator, welcome to the show. Thank you for the follow. Timmy, Chroma, so good to see you both here. Thank you for showing up. I need to heart hands, but I can't heart hands. So know that heart hands want to happen right now. They're just not. So, welcome. How's your Wednesday going?
Is that for the audience or me?
No, that's for you. Because I turned to look at you.
That's fair. It's pretty good. Been trying to work on mostly bugs and concepting vendors for the actual game, so that's been a lot of drawing for 3 hours straight.
So you're confirming that there are vendors.
Yes, that's a thing I can confirm. There's trading. We've been working on the user interface for all the shops and stuff.
Heard it here first, folks. There are vendors in Freyr. You know, it's that hard-hitting journalism. That's why people come to this show, not other shows with legitimate journalists. But before we start talking about the game, this is a question that I've started working in recently, especially for guests who are game developers. What are you playing right now?
Oh, what am I playing? What was it? I'm being really boring. I was playing Hollow Knight first because it's on sale on Steam, and I've been playing City Skylines because I like the games where it's basically just collecting trains and putting them together.
You know, you would probably get along quite well with Rami Ishmael. He loves those types of games. Yeah, he is a lovely person. There, I said it.
He was very busy.
He is. I didn't realize how busy he had gotten. When I started the show in this iteration, I reached out to him on Twitter because we've been Twitter friends for years. And I was like, hey, be on my show. And he's like, hey, email my assistant. And I'm just like, you have an assistant? Your assistant busy? Yeah. Like, dude, I want an assistant. You know, like, I the last day of Pitch Your Game, I think I was talking to you about this, but I reached out to over 30 teams that day, and then trying to keep all of those different email threads and Twitter DMs and all that stuff straight, like, my brain is still reeling from it. But yeah, dude, everybody wants an assistant apparently.
I'm the
Um,
most disorganized person on the planet. I definitely need an assistant.
oh, Timmy, are you offering to be my assistant or Maven's assistant?
I
Because
would
like
I would I would lose everything of your files in some file labeled important file number 2.
assistants do require money, though, as Chroma points out. And I don't know about you over on the Freyr side of things, but I can at least tell you from that Tom Clancy show side of things, there is no real cash flow happening at present. So, uh, yeah, let's be each other's assistants. You know, we can talk about this later. Sure, we can figure something out. But yeah, so Hollow Knight, I have wanted to play that game for, well, too long. I just haven't gotten around to it. But it looks really cool.
It's quite a pretty game. I think because we plan to make more games after Freyr, it's going to be a game we lean into to stare at and be like, now how do we do that?
Well, I imagine one thing that would help would be if you went with, I feel bad saying it, but almost like a monotone color scheme. Or, like I guess grayscale would probably be more accurate.
So Hollow Knight's weird because it's one of the only Souls-like, I put that in quotation marks, it's a Metroidvania, that actually understands of the point of what makes Souls-like games, but that's a whole tangent, and I feel like that is not a direction we should go.
I don't know if you've watched my show previously, but tangents do tend to happen, and I do also encourage them. Because especially when you're talking things like Metroidvanias and Souls likes, and an argument could very well be made that a Souls game really is just a Metroidvania. But
It is.
uh, don't tell the Souls like kids that. Shh.
It's
Um,
only in America they're called Souls-likes.
Yeah, everywhere else they're all like, oh, it's like Metroid and medieval Helltown.
I believe my game partner said in Japan they're called search action games.
That, like, I mean,
It's very to the point.
it is, but it's just, there's no art to it. I mean, trust that there's no real art in saying Souls like, but search action sounds like if you had if you told a group of physicists from MIT to name different video game genres, giving them like the bare minimum explanation as to what each genre has, you know?
I mean, I think the reason it ended up being Souls-like here in America is because we almost didn't have the Souls-like genre because Demon Souls almost tanked itself until it came over here.
Yeah. Dude, I was working at High Voltage Software when that game came out, and the talk around the studio was nuts. Like everybody was losing their mind about that game. And I was sitting there and I'm just like, yeah, I'd like to lose my mind about it too, but you only pay me $9 an hour and have my hours capped at precisely 32 hours a week.
Oof.
Yeah. Timmy offers up what I now think is the perfect name for Souls like games, Level Up Sword Game.
I mean, that is also correct. Although, level up in Souls games is a lot more complicated than JRPGs.
Yeah, but JRPG leveling up, I wouldn't necessarily call leveling up because I have played Western RPGs, which actually give you a role and ask you to play it as opposed to,
Quote unquote.
yeah. Uh, I wrote an entire blog post back in the day about how JRPGs are actually just turn based action games because you don't make any decisions.
Yeah, it's why Freyr, although it pulls a lot from JRPGs, because I do like them, it also pulls a lot from like your Dragon Ages and your Mass Effects and all of those based on that storytelling element.
Well, I think one of the great things about it too is, so much of the video game industry started in Japan. I mean, like a correct argument would be made that video games were invented in America and created by Americans and people working for Americans, but they didn't start to reach their potential as a medium until people like Sega and Nintendo got their hands on the tech. And
Nintendo
then,
started out as a card selling company, didn't
yeah,
they?
yeah, Nintendo's like 100 years old. Like they're a toy company. Like that's just nuts. Um, but so then you get players like Nintendo and Sega coming in, and I'm sure that that's highly reductionist, and that there are many, many more people involved. And then you start seeing how they're influencing American developers, then American developers are start coming out with like really interesting things like Doom and Wolfenstein and all the other stuff that was like becoming big at that time, and then that feeds in, and it's just so cool seeing how it all just kind of like feeds into each other to make these very different and fun games.
Yeah,
So
game history is going to be even more wild the longer we go on because at this point it's a whole thing.
well, I mean, it's we're at a point now because the whole industry has diversified far quicker than say film, which is really the next analogous new art form. But I mean, film, didn't require the level of technology to come about that video games required. But either way, like we went from the only studios make stuff, like big studios make stuff, to indie film makers popping up in like the 90s in like no time flat. I mean, video games as a medium has existed for, we'll just say, roughly 50 years. And in 50 years, we have outpaced film, which has been around for 120 years.
And in fact, video games have influenced film because now Unreal Engine is being used on The Mandalorian to do their giant, like, filmscapes with the weird thing that they invented for those.
It was also used on Star Wars Rogue One, which may be the exact inspiration for this show.
Oh, I haven't seen Rogue One. It's the one Star Wars spin-off that I haven't sat down to watch.
Yo, it's so good though. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there's a lot wrong with it, but it's so good though.
I mean, pretty much all the Star Wars spin-offs are good just because they do something besides the, Nazis versus not Nazis.
Wait, how many spin offs are we talking? Because there's really only two.
Han Solo, Mandalorian,
Well, I mean, The
Rogue One.
Mandalorian's a TV show. I don't necessarily count that as a spin off. Like, I mean, is it a spin off? Yes. Just like, Clone Wars, Rebels,
That's true. I guess if we're
you
just
know.
talking film-wise, we haven't had too many of those.
But that said, though, dude, Solo, highly unappreciated. I stand by that. Like, was that movie as good as it could have been? No. But Lando was excellent. L3 was excellent. Chewie, love that guy. And yeah, no, that was just an excellent and fun movie.
I kind of hope we get a Jedi Academy show, honestly.
Well, we got the Jedi Academy show with Ahmed Best, which is like a kids like game show where
That
they're
was a thing?
yeah, I don't know if it's actually aired, but it was supposed to debut on Star Wars Kids when like all of 2020 happened.
Oh, yeah.
All at once 2020 happened. And it's like I'm trying to think, like, it's Star Wars themed challenges for these kids who are all like Jedi younglings, and I don't know what they're like competing for, but like all of the challenges are based like loosely around like Jedi ideals. And I'm just like, dude, where the hell were these shows 30 years ago?
I mean, there's a whole thing where you learn Jedi, like, sword stuff that's the same as fencing now. I'm just like, well, okay.
Yo,
My
the
childhood
future,
is a sham.
yo, your childhood is a sham. Like, oh man.
My
Uh,
nephews have no idea how lucky they are.
yeah, but at the same time too, they have no idea how lucky they are. But as adults now, we have this level of appreciation for things that like they're never gonna get.
I know.
But then again, when they become adults, think about the things they'll have an appreciation for that the next generations behind them won't get. You know, like running water. No. Oh,
Not being in the middle of a
boom.
plague, maybe.
Yeah, you know, face less itchy face masks. Who knows? But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, see, that was a fun tangent. That was a good tangent. That was one well worth going on. Um, Going back to Souls likes though, uh, there the Souls games, including Bloodborne. I haven't actually played Demon Souls. Are a series of games that I started out just detesting. I never played them. I had only heard of them. I had seen them, and I'm just like, these games are terrible. A game that is just designed to be hard is just dickishness. You know, just being very. I was being a dick.
I hated all of them too until I played Bloodborne. Then I was like, oh, I get it now.
See, Bloodborne's the one that I like the least.
That's
Like,
so strange because it's like the exact opposite of most of them.
yeah, but I think because I kind of understand the rhythm of the Souls games, and then Bloodborne is a departure from that rhythm that I never like. I couldn't understand it in a way that I could understand the others. But I love those games to death. I'm terrible at them. I will never complete one, but I love them. So excellent games.
Yeah, they're a great formula. I just wish more people understood what the formula was.
Yeah, I think Jedi Fallen Order did a very good job of understanding that formula. It was like
Oh yeah.
it was a Souls light.
It just messed up in the fact that you should have been able to make your custom Jedi.
Yes. I will 100% agree with that. Uh, yeah,
I
no,
mean, I love the actor for the him because he played Joker in Gotham, but I wanted my own Jedi. Thank you very much.
and you know, that's 100% fair. I didn't really care for him so much, but I liked his master. I liked Deborah Wilson. I liked all of the Inquisitors. The Night Sister was great. The pilot of the ship, love that guy.
And I can't really blame the actor for the main guy because he was probably supposed to be kind of boring due to, self-insert issues.
Yeah, I mean it's like the Master Chief is a very good example of this. Like the Master Chief isn't a character. He is an action hero that says the things that we would want to say if we were so blatantly in an action movie. You know, but
Pretty much.
yeah, the main character is the vessel for fun.
Which actually is a great segue because with Freyr, we have three protagonists because I don't whenever you have a self-insert character, it should always be a customizable character. Otherwise, just make your main character a real person. It's a lot of work, but it's way more worth it because at this point we have three protagonists. You have Cortez, who's a he, him, who has his own personality. He's a lot more of your like stereotypical protagonist with a couple more twists to him. You've got Arum, who is the she, her protagonist, and she's a lot closer to being more Spitfire and real fun to deal with. And then you have Pyrite, who's non binary, and they're real shy, and you can tell because of how they interact with characters and the overall story with them and how people interact with them. It's kind of like how you choose your backstory in Mass Effect, but a little bit more honed because I can directly write everything.
I dig it. I'm down.
By the way, it's a lot more work than you think it is, everyone. I do not recommend.
um, we have there's a Chroma Snare in chat has a question that goes back to uh, uh, the Souls like versus action RPG question, and mainly being what's the difference between the two. I
Oh,
would
yeah.
I would just real quick because I don't want to lose the beginning of this interview. I would say that a Souls like is a deeper experience, more in line with a Metroidvania, because the focus of the game is getting lost in the world and finding like kind of everything about it. Whereas an action RPG generally tends to be a bit more of a linear experience, though they do have a lot of surface similarity.
So a good example would be Mass Effect is an action RPG, not a Souls-like.
Yep.
And Souls-likes are just Metroidvanias. Don't let anyone fool you.
Yeah, they're Metroidvanias without guns.
Pretty
Because
much.
we've had 3D Metroidvanias in the form of the Metroid Prime trilogy. So, Metroid Prime 4, can't wait. Heard it here first, folks. Tom's looking forward to it. So, three characters with their own unique backstories, with the idea of giving every player the opportunity to see themselves in their character. One, thank you. Um, because I know that's weird saying that as like token white dude, but still, that's awesome. And Haskropper, thank you for the follow. Um,
I think a good way to put it is how do I explain this? So a lot of games you do have your generic face, but even when you don't me being black, you generally don't have people behind it writing from the experience that isn't being white and generally being cis. Sorry for using buzzwords, people, but this is how we define things. And then for me, I have it really easy because I am, in fact, not a game maker first or even an artist first. I am a writer first who has experience in the other things. So I'm able to do this a lot easier than some indie devs. Some indie devs do not know how to write, and that is not their fault. It is very hard.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to disagree with you on the writing is hard thing, as I've been a never started writer for the last 18 years. So I fully understand. I mean, is anything that's truly worth doing is hard. Not yeah, nope, take that back. But yeah, no, I lost my train of thought. Rebooting.
Should I add beep boop sound effects?
No, I should get the old like Apple startup sound because that's the computers that I started with as a kid. They're like, that they did.
I was
But
thinking of the dial up sound.
oh man, dial up was so much of my growing up time. Hmm, man, dial up. I laugh at kids who are all like the YouTube video isn't loading fast enough, and I'm like, kid, let me tell you about the dark times.
The
So,
dark ages.
back in the
Where you
dark
couldn't be
ages
on
of
the
the
phone
internet,
and the internet at the same time.
you could if you had more than one line. Just
This is
saying.
true.
Um, well, now that we kind of have this, well, we are beginning to get an idea of really your perspective moving forward with the game. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about Freyr? Because there are a couple things in your kind of like elevator pitch and stuff on the website for the game and everything that uh, don't necessarily make me scratch my head, but I'm just like, I'm interested to see how they want to put all of these together.
Oh, okay. So our spaghetti explanation is rough because it's mostly just hard to. So, when people go to make games, the best thing you can do is look at your favorite games. The mistake people make is they copy them exactly, rather than taking ideas that didn't work as well in that game and improving them, or taking ideas and making them their own. So, like, one of my favorite games is the Dark Souls series. So, combat's a little harder. You've got the similar respawn and fast travel points and things like that, but it's not a game made to be punishing because I also like visual novels, so if you want to be able to talk to characters and stuff, you're not being locked out of that if you're not very good at combat.
Nice. I appreciate the approachability. Because I fall on the kind of Jim Sterling side of having difficulty sliders, mostly because I feel that, especially games, with the exception of the large portion of indie games, games are expensive. If I'm going to be
Oh, so
dropping 50 or 60 bucks on a game, I feel like I should have a reasonable expectation that I can beat it.
I have an incredible disdain for games that are made hard for hard's sake.
Well, yeah, that's because that's just bad. But like, yeah. Well, it's just
I'm gonna do my best not to call out a particular game that does that, but
I can think of a few as well off the top of my head, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe for later. But one of the things that I noticed is you are working on a game with farming. Okay, cool. Kind of down. Action, definitely down. And dating.
oh yeah, that whole thing. So
Yeah.
so the thing with RPGs, even the ones that do have the whole, I'm gonna put dating in quotation marks because Mass Effect and Dragon Age still don't seem to have the greatest grasp on it. And okay, the
They have a
bigger
great grasp
inspiration,
on flirting leading up to having sex.
yeah, that part. That's all they got.
They don't have the middle part, with the exception of the Jack romance in Mass
Isn't
Effect
that the
2.
one that murders you?
No, 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 no. That's the Asari.
Ah, okay.
But no, the Jack one is actually really cool because, like, one, she's like one of my favorite characters, and I thought I was gonna hate her, and because she's like really crass and annoying, and it's just like, oh my god, can you please just shut up? Like, oh, your childhood was terrible, we get it, But then, like, you actually start working her loyalty mission and working the like romance aspect of it, and you find out a lot about her character, and it's just like there's you can like choose the easy path, which literally leads to just having sex, and then she doesn't talk to you for the rest of the game, or you can actually learn about her, and it's just this really touching and lovely story.
And it's a like and it I don't blame games who can't do that because it is a huge undertaking. I'm already like ripping my hair out trying to decide how much dating there actually is because at the moment, do not take this as permanence because it could change, but we have like 7 or 8 dateable characters, and at the moment, I'm trying to decide if that's what's gonna happen, or if each protagonist kind of just has a canon relationship in the game, and everyone else is more like friendship dates.
I'm going to be disappointed if there are fewer than 7 or 8. Just saying that now. But at the same time, I'm kidding.
And like, don't get me wrong, it'd be great. I pigeonholed myself with it though for having 3 different protagonists with 3 different personalities.
Well played. All your own fault, but it's okay. Uh, you'll be fine. Alligator goes, I want the option to pick, but I love anything.
Listen, Al, I know you're just thirsty for Lizard Man. You don't have to tell me.
Okay.
Al is in our Discord, so I know.
Yeah. I just had this moment like, look, I mean, I am not going to judge at all. I romanced Garrus as FemShep. So I still
I
need
love
to go.
Garrus.
Oh, dude, Garrus is the best. Cause like if you're dude Shep and you're hanging out with him, he's just like your ultimate bro, and not like in a bro way, but like a legit like platonic loving friendship way. And then if you're Fem Shep and you choose to romance him, there's a whole extra depth of his character that just never comes up.
Also, the joke with the doctor alien never gets old when it comes to Garrus.
True.
That whole conversation is hilarious.
Also, I am also a little bit sad that we couldn't romance Morden, but I fully understand why. But
Just
guy,
let us romance everybody, guys.
yeah, pretty much. I do still need to do my Mass Effect Andromeda playthrough where I romance the Turian woman. I forget her name. I've only played through the game once. I need to go back and play that game again. Um, okay, look, I think Turians are attractive. Cut me some slack. I play a
I
robot on
mean,
the
when I was
internet.
still doing my edgy teenage phase, I drew like a bunch of Turians, so I understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've also seen you in chat in a couple different Twitch channels, so it's like you're no one to judge me.
Hey, you can't don't be calling me out.
I'm not calling out. I'm simply saying.
Listen, everyone knows I have an obsession with Pyramid Head. It's not a secret.
It was definitely a very interesting conversation over in uh, that channel. But
Okay, you said you had a list of questions.
I
Are we
do.
on? Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, guys. That's enough of that. So how big is the team you for Freyr?
So that's complicated because it started out as two people, me and my best friend, making a joke about making a prototype of a game that does everything right that Stardew Valley does wrong, and now we're here working on a vertical slice with a portrait artist, a composer, my best friend's friend who sometimes helps with programming. I probably forget we have an editor who may or may not help on and off, and it's been like almost a year and a half now, so
Yeah, that sounds what's the word I'm looking for here? Complicated.
oh, and then we have a bunch of people that I commission to do merchandise and or really cool art when I have the time and money.
Now, that sounds a bit like putting the cart before the
For the
horse.
horse. So I would agree with you there, but it's surprising how good Merc does at doing marketing for you.
Okay. I mean, I don't know anything about that. And I'm not saying that in like the facetious way. I mean, I literally don't know
Because
anything about
one
that.
thing that's a positive, so if we weren't here in, a pandemic, our year, our Lord 2020, we would be doing cons, and all of our merchandise does a great job of advertising the game, and we get money.
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds pretty nice. Put an F in chat if you want me to have merch. Uh, I found Freyr simply because I saw a poster of the sexy lizard man. Okay, you know, that works. That works. What is this
Hey,
lizard's
everyone,
man name?
want to know a secret for making indie games? Make all of your characters adults and sell hot pictures of them.
Oh man, I guess that works. Just when the game releases, will it come with like the calendar?
Oh
For
my
all the
god, I've been
characters.
thinking about a calendar. Don't tempt me.
Look, I'm not tempting. I just simply asked a question. It's not like I
That's
have like a
that's one
calendar
thing I don't
factory.
think indie people who make games realizes. I get the whole thing of wanting to make games where the kid's a protagonist, the kid protagonist is a child, but if you make them an adult, so many opportunities open up that you can do that you can't do with a kid protagonist.
Yeah. Well, also at the same time, it's like I don't know. I just feel like adults make better protagonists. I worked at a
Yeah,
bookstore and they
they
kept being like, you should read some YA books to like broaden your horizons. And I tried. I really
they're
did.
terrible.
But I found I don't give a shit about children's problems.
It's so the
Not
problem, what
one
I've
single shit.
noticed is I do not understand why anime, video games, the whole genre of that selling entertainment to adults, just do 21 to about 26 and you still have the teenage angst because 20-year-olds are a mess.
Yeah, that's why I like Ghost in the Shell because all of the characters are adults. And like the only weird angsty thing is that Bato has a crush on the major.
I just want more adult anime and video games that are like JRPGs but have adults in them. That's all I want. I'm not actually asking for a lot here.
You know, it sounds like you're asking for a lot, though.
I see one more teenage shonen, I'm gonna throw up.
I mean, you could just start watching like television with adults on it.
But see, American television gives me a headache sometimes.
Yeah, it sounds like you've really kind of backed yourself into a corner on what kind of media is available to you.
To be fair, I consume a lot of it, mainly just to figure out what not to do.
Moving on.
Like Umbrella Academy is good. Umbrella Academy is great.
I've only watched a couple episodes of it. I didn't stop because I didn't like it. I stopped because I don't remember. Uh,
Um, what's another good one? The Haunting of Hill House is excellent. Do not recommend if you're sensitive to certain things, because it is a depressing shit show in a good way. It's just very depressing.
okay. Yeah, there's just too much. Like in a weird way, there's just too much going on.
I spend like 15 minutes trying to figure out what to watch on Netflix and then never watch anything.
Yeah, I do the same. Except like I keep a lot of things that I like in my list, and I basically just go through my list of about 20 or 30 things, and I'm just like, what am I going to watch that I've already watched today? Um, with the except there's like a couple John Mulaney comedy specials in there that I haven't watched yet, but just because I haven't felt like watching somebody tell jokes for 2 hours.
Fair enough.
Like you gotta
Although he's a
be.
top tier choice.
Oh, dude, God, he's so funny. It's like I would like to see John Mulaney. I'd just like to see John Mulaney.
I mean, I think we all would.
Yeah. Yeah. God, there's so like Diner Lobster on SNL. Best sketch.
Before anyone thinks that I am like all knowing with this game development stuff, a lot of the reason I seem like I know what I'm talking about is because I'm one of those people who watch 2 hour videos of breakdowns of video games and things like that. So I'm basically doing college classes on YouTube when I'm not working on a video game.
So you're very familiar with the GDC Vault, is what I'm hearing.
I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with H Bomber Guy because great. That are great for me to be like, okay, so this is why this game is good, or at least in terms of theory.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to sit down with the theory. And it's another thing too to sit down with the theory and then apply it. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you about how to make video games because, well, you're doing it. So you've obviously have some stuff figured out. And professionally, I never really did a whole bunch with it. So very clearly, I don't know what the fuck I'm
I have
talking
no
about.
idea what I'm doing. Nobody does. That's a lie. Nobody who
That
makes games has any idea what they're doing.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows what they're doing. I picked that one up from Movies with Mikey.
Oh, I love his show is so good too.
He's an internet friend of mine. He followed me and I like lost my mind.
He's so charming. I feel like if I actually met him, I would probably just melt on the spot because I can't talk to people.
I'm trying to get him on the show because he's awesome and I want to talk to him. Mikey, if you're watching, we all love you. Be on my show. I'm smiling. This is my smiling face.
You should get keys that you can change the face of your little avatar's screen.
I'm working on it. Look, that took longer than I would like to admit. But like so much of this is like, you know, eh, like I'm off the map here. Like if there was a map of like game development, I'm off in the section that says there be dragons.
Yeah, I actually familiar with that feeling. So with Game Maker Studio 2, which is what we're using, if anyone would like to know, we're not
That was
using
actually one of
Unity
my
or any
questions.
of those. Um, because we're making an actual RPG and not like no, I love RPG Maker. There is no shame in using that, but there is a certain maze type issue with making an RPG in Game Maker because no one's actually done it to the point of basically rebuilding RPG Maker from scratch, but with more features.
Hmm.
Because we're making our own cutscene system, we have to make our own dialogue systems, we have to make our own flag this quest over here system.
It sounds like you're having a lot of fun.
It would be great if Game Maker cooperated.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, making your own set of features inside of something that doesn't necessarily come with them initially is never fun.
And like you can't even find, so like even if we wanted to go to itch.io and find, things to plop in, they don't exist for RPGs really.
Yeah, that's
Because no
one
one's
of the.
insane enough to make an actual RPG.
Well, nobody is insane enough to have gotten as far as you likely have. They probably got like 5 to 10 steps before you and said, "This is stupid. Let's just use RPG Maker."
And I guess I should elaborate. There's a difference between the RPGs a lot of people are making and specifically an RPG that mimics JRPGs. They're oof, it's a lot when you're trying to make Dragon Age and JRPG influenced game,
It's not a lot trying to make Dragon Age.
which we're also taking ideas from because I love Dragon Age. I tried to go back and play it and I was like, "Good God, this game is old."
Origins 2 or Inquisition.
Inquisition's great. Went to go play the first one with its expansion, and as soon as I booted it up, I was like, I don't remember it being this old.
Uh, I did. I believe what I said of the original Dragon Age Origins was BioWare listened to all of their fans who liked Mass Effect but wanted something that felt like their old games, and they made this to spite them. Like,
It's true.
I'm not going to say Dragon Age Origins is a bad game, but it definitely reminds me that sometimes going back and making things just like how they used to be isn't the best choice.
It's not.
But Dragon Age Inquisition was an excellent game. Timmy agrees with me in chat. Yeah, all
I
right.
love Dragon Age Inquisition. The only problem with Dragon Age Inquisition is that the very beginning part on the mountain where they're all singing was the best part in the whole game because that was an amazing cutscene sequence, and I was like, why did you not save this
Yeah, that's
for
fair.
like the middle or something?
That is definitely fair.
It was
Um,
such a good, oh, so good scene. How did you manage that? And then be like, actually, though, nothing gets better than this. It's still good, just not this.
dude, I was not prepared for how big that game was.
So big.
Because it's like I legit thought like there could not be more than a couple of zones like the hinterlands there. It was gonna be like 4 zones max.
The minute I got swiped by a dragon, I was like, oh, this is actual sandbox RPG. Okay.
I did kill a few of the dragons. I felt very pleased with myself.
I had to kill them because I wanted to romance Iron Bull, so I had no choice.
I just wanted to kill them because I just wanted the challenge.
I'm like, if my man wants to be impressed by me murdering dragons, I guess that's my job for the next 2 hours.
I went for Sarah because I thought she was crazy, and that was
She is
funny
a
to
little
me.
bit. She's got something.
Yeah, so, like she was fun. Although
All of the characters are pretty solid.
Timmy goes, I wanted them dragon scales. That's fair. I definitely wanted, I want to go back through eventually sometime and romance Cassandra because she's like one of my
She's
favorite
great too.
characters.
She's really well done.
I love that she accidentally is a huge fan of Varric.
I loved that sequence. I was like, oh wow, you have an actual personality.
That was hilarious. And Varric was kind of fun. Like he was your Garrus, but he was less he was less Garrusy than
I'm
Garrus.
still pissed I can't romance him.
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
I like Varys.
Yeah, Varys. Yeah. Now we're talking just stupid things. But
Yes.
I have one last real question for the game, and that's what is your timeline like? What are you shooting for your release date or
I'm not
date?
gonna give release date because I'll shoot myself in the foot.
No, you should
But
totally give us the most specific time and date possible, please.
the so if it wasn't for the pandemic, well, Black Lives Matter affecting my very livelihood and all of that other stuff, we'd probably have been more on schedule for releasing Vertical Slice and pitching to publishers. But at the moment, our game plan is finish the bloody Vertical Slice, pitch to publishers, and hope they give us money. And our track would be like 2 years from now, based on the calendar.
Hmm.
If we
But then
don't,
2020 happened.
have a black plague for the rest of our lives.
Well, the wonderful thing is that eventually our lives will end and it will no longer be our problem.
It won't be our problem anymore.
Someone else can solve it. But, you know, that's very dark and morbid. I feel like I try and be a little bit more upbeat on my show. So,
2020's making it hard.
it really is. But you know what? I'm trying to find those silver linings. They're just getting really hard to find. Like the big thing that's keeping me going right now is that Star Wars Squadrons is coming out in less than 2 months.
Oh yeah, that's the nifty game I saw a couple times. I was like, would I play this? I don't know, but it's pretty.
I know I will because that game is everything I've ever wanted.
I'm trying to think if there's any game. Oh, right. I have Baldur's Gate 3 wish listed. That's what I care about.
I have a lot of things wishlisted at the moment. But yeah,
And
like, oh man,
Bloodlines Masquerade 2.
oh yeah, that first one was just so ridiculous.
I'm hoping the second one is just as stupid. I need it to be just as stupid.
I need it to be just as stupid. Oh, Timmy, share your Daenerys with me, please. Just mail it right over. I'm sure that it will definitely keep, but send it with like FedEx or UPS, not like the postal service. Uh,
Because our
it,
government's trying to burn it to the ground.
like some things deserve to be burned to the ground. That's just not one of them.
Boy. Although I just read that there's a bill being passed to try and keep them from doing so, and I have a feeling it will pass just due to the fact that citizens are this close to throwing rocks through the White House.
Dude, that's like anyone who manages to get a rock that far, like they should be signed by a baseball team because they clearly have an
Immediately.
arm. Um, yeah. So just remember, fly those drones like low. They gotta stay under radar. But I'm officially like out of like official questions.
Oh,
Um,
okay, that's good. We
yeah,
got managed to get through them.
we did, and you know what? We managed to also do about 45 minutes of generally tangent conversation.
So
But
now is the untangent section?
no, now is where I remind the audience that they are definitely more than welcome to ask any questions if they have any. And then if they don't, I just fill some dead air before I go to the 5 questions.
Oh, okay.
But don't worry, I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. At least professionals have told me that I know what I'm doing. So I
I
generally,
mean, you see, you know what you're doing.
just kind of winging it every day. That's really the main thing. And then otherwise, I just ask a lot of people if they want to be on my show.
Timmy, I never really played the Sonic games, but I like Chow Garden. Does that count?
I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, that's definitely something I would say. In fact, I do believe I just said it. Timmy is a big fan of Sonic Adventure. Uh, Game I never played.
Like, I was a poor kid, so I didn't end up really playing too many video games except for really specific ones that my brother managed to get. So I also got to play a lot of ones that are obscure nowadays. Like, there's this PS2 game called Lifeline where you control the character through your voice. And it's, I don't know, not many people have heard of it, and you can find like 1 or 2 YouTube playthroughs of it that are competent.
Hmm. Then we have Why pick Game Maker 2 instead of another software or game engine?
Because Unity is a bunch of ideas in a terrible basket, and Unreal doesn't really made for the game we're making, and Game Maker limits you too much.
Also, Unity is
What are the other ones?
expensive.
Got It is very new still.
Good dough.
Game Maker Studio 2 is not new, so it has a lot of features and is getting updated to 2.3 soon.
Oh, excellent question too from Alligator. You said you wanted to do right on what Stardew Valley did wrong. What did Stardew Valley do wrong in your eyes?
Okay, so the Stardew, let me preface this, is a good game. It is perfectly casual game that everyone can play. I have no issues with it. However, it is basically just a reskin of Harvest Moon. So, to preface that again, it suffers from the same things that a lot of Harvest Moon suffered from of once you start figuring out how to min-max your vegetables, you kind of beat the game and the characters are kind of flat.
Hmm. I didn't like Stardew Valley, but that's a good answer.
Because I min-maxed the shit out of Stardew and then got bored.
Dude, I love the idea of games like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing, but
At least Animal Crossing fills my collect everything and then die quota.
at the same time, I'm just like I don't want to play a game about
Where you work.
yeah, like my power fantasy of games is that like I actually make a difference in the world, you know.
And I think Stardew would be very good if it would have just had maybe one more area to explore, like go to the city and sell your vegetables at a food stand. Give the players something to do outside of a very tiny farm. I grew up in the country. You're not missing anything.
Yo, like a farmer's market.
A city's farmers markets are great.
Yeah, but no, man, like you just
Yeah.
imagine like the depth and not necessarily complexity, but like the backstabbing that would like happen in a if you got into like a farmer's market in Stardew Valley, like cuz you'd like roll up and be like, "Hey guys, look at my wares. I got these organic whatever the fox that I just grew." And then somebody comes over
Purple
and
starred ass tomatoes.
yeah, some dude walks over and it's just like, "Yo, this is my turf."
Like
And then just
Stardew would be
pushes
great
over
if
your
it
thing.
just would have expanded the idea. Like I said earlier in the interview, take a game you really like and improve on what you didn't like about it.
Now I kind of want to make some like really dickish uh farmers market simulator.
Farmers market brawl. You just fight people with vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah, why not, right? Like do it like gang beasts in a farmers market.
It would be chaos and it'd be like paintball. It'd be so fun.
Or to make it like even just more ridiculous, uh like a kaiju farmers market.
Oh my god.
So like you
Yes.
have like ethically raised humans and like you know
Oh my god. See, the problem is I would make that sort of fucked up game because that's my kind of humor.
see, that's the kind of thing I would also, at least to some extent, make because it's absurd.
But can you imagine if you raised kaiju and took them to contests? That would be also be great.
I do think there's a movie that is supposed to come out like that at some point. Also, there's Pokemon, and they're basically just kaiju.
Pokemon's got its problems though.
I'm
And
not
like
saying it doesn't.
I'm not one of those people who harass Game Freak, those poor devs. What I'm talking about is Pokemon will foremost and always be for kids. That's why it's simple. That's why the characters talk to you like you're 8. What they need to do is get a different company to make adult versions of Pokemon games and it would solve everybody's problems.
Is somebody shoveling in the background? Maybe? I have no idea
That
what
might
you're.
just be me shifting around a lot.
I also shifted too, which doesn't help either. But yeah, I kind of want to do
Yeah,
this
no,
now.
ow, I have no problem with Pokemon. There just needs to be two separate branches that are the kids and the adults Pokemon, so everyone stops harassing Game Freak.
I think we kind of got the adult Pokemon, or at least something very close to it, with the movie Detective Pikachu.
Basically, just do that, but like, let me be a gym leader for God's sake.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun. And the true adult version of Pokemon would be you being a gym leader and keeping everyone down.
Just punching children.
It's like, oh, kid, you want to go to like the tournament? Too bad. You start Team Rocket. That's what it would be.
And like, hate to say it, but I noticed the Digimon games end up being more adult than the Pokemon ones, and that's because Pokemon has built itself on being for children, which isn't really Pokemon's fault.
Yeah, Alligator goes, I want like you as the champion years after you've grown up. Alligator, I want to make a Ken Burns style mockumentary about the life of the main character from Pokemon Red and Blue, but like 20 years later or
Oh
like
my god,
30
that'd be
years later.
hilarious.
Because like there was this kid who went and they became the best there ever was. And like, what does the rest of their life look like later?
Also, as a kid, I wanted to be Team Rocket and would keep throwing my Pokeballs at trainers' Pokemon and being denied.
Dude, I didn't start playing Pokemon until like uh geez, what, 2014, so like 6 years ago. And I don't really like play Pokemon. I play Pokemon Go. Um and I didn't know that you couldn't steal other people's Pokemon. And I was like, what do you mean? I just kicked the shit out of them. Why can't I take the Pokemon?
An adult game for Pokemon would just be versions of things you wanted to do as a kid, but Pokemon wouldn't let you because it's family friendly.
I think the adult version of Pokemon would be like Pokemon DX Tournament or whatever it was, the fighting game between the
Oh
Pokemon,
yeah,
except that
the
it's the
best game.
adults fighting and the Pokemon watching in the background.
Peter would enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd play the crap out of that game. You sit there, like, the Ash and like Jesse and James are like fighting each other, and like Meowth and like Pikachu are just having a cigarette and a coffee in the background.
I'm still not sure why Pokemon hasn't made a farm game where Pokemon help you with your farm.
Wait,
There's a
what?
whole industry of berries and Pokeblocks. Why not just make a game about it?
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, Mewtwo's an asshole.
Yes.
Like, dude just needs to chill. Um, yeah. Well, I think it might be time for the 5 questions.
Exciting.
So, for those of you at home who might be first timers here, and also just in case you forgot, the 5 questions are 5 questions that I've prepared before the show that have generally nothing to do with stuff that we've talked about. Let me just, look over my list over there. No, actually, they don't have anything to do with our tangent filled conversation today. So, question number 1. You forget every week, Fictional Cat. You forget every day. No. Question number 1. Star Wars or Trek?
See, I didn't grow up with Star Trek, so it's Star Wars by default because I grew up with the VH set of the original movies that I watched like 50 times all the time.
That's fair.
And now, don't get me wrong, if I had grown up with Star Trek, it would have probably been equal love. Star Trek is good for its diversity, the later ones, not the older ones, due to the whole drama with that. But Star Wars has accidentally fallen down the ladder with what it used to represent of anyone can do anything because bureaucracy in Disney, so it's gotten real awkward.
That's fair. It hasn't definitely has not quite gone as well as say Into the Spider-Verse with the
Ugh,
everyone can be Spider-Man.
God, that movie is so good. We're gonna
It,
be talking about it forever.
no, it's fine because I'm stopping us right now. Doug, question number 2. Author Douglas Adams, in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, said that dolphins were alien. In your opinion, which earthly species do you think are aliens?
I mean, that's easy. Octopuses. Things are way too smart, and I feel bad that we eat them.
I mean, then they shouldn't be delicious.
It's true. Calamari is beautiful.
So, all right, that was a quick answer.
Or cats. Cats or octopuses. One of the two.
Hmm. All right, question number 3. What is your favorite movie monster and or killer?
Ooh, those are two different options sometimes.
But for some people, there's the whole like, well, like Jason's kind of a monster, and like, Mike Myers is.
Weirdly, I didn't grow. Now, I grew up in a godly home, so I didn't grow up with serial killer movies very much. I only just in the last 10 years really have dug into them to understand their whole everything. So when I think of movie monsters I liked as a kid, I think of like Gremlins.
Yeah, the Gremlins are pretty legit though.
Loved that movie. I should not have been watching that movie as a kid.
Yeah, that movie should not have been marketed to kids.
It was though, and it was.
Oh, the 80s were such a weird time.
But yeah, that's the only one I can think of that I actually can very easily remember being like, this is a cool monster, whatever it is.
Nice. To me, it brings up Reptar.
It counts.
Yeah,
Does
Reptar's.
anyone remember how wild the Rugrats movie was? Tommy tried to murder his brother with monkeys.
I mean, that sounds like the Pickles way of solving a problem. But then again,
That
I
movie.
I didn't actually watch the movie. I only ever watched the show.
So, like, a circus train crashes and Tommy tries to dump banana flavored uh baby food on his brother so the monkeys will drag him away. And I should mention the monkeys are animated to be terrifying.
Huh. That's probably a red flag. Probably. So, speaking of fruit, actually, question number 4: pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
I mean, here's the thing. I like all pizzas, so if someone feeds me pineapple pizza, I'm gonna eat it. It's not my favorite, but I don't hate it like other people do. I think it's a perfectly serviceable flavor.
God, see, there's just something about hot pineapple that is just disgusting.
So do you think you'd like it better if someone designed a cold version of pizza? Because people eat cold pizza.
Yeah, I mean, I eat cold pizza, you know, but
Just stick your Hawaiian pizza in the fridge
but
until it
it's
gets cold.
already been cooked. The pineapple has been changed.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. People eat grilled pineapple, too. That's like an
Yeah,
actual food,
I
too.
know, and that's disgusting too.
You just not like cooked fruit?
Probably.
Because I can't think of other fruits that are cooked often. Technically, a tomato's a fruit, but
Yeah.
that's
Well, I mean, like,
science and botany.
uh, cold pizza next day is the best. Yeah, next day cold pizza is excellent. And thank you for popping in the chat in the channel. Thank you for
So is
stopping by.
next day Chinese food. Chinese food's so good reheated.
Yo, this is like the second time I've had this conversation today.
Everyone's stuck at home ordering takeout. That's all we got.
Yeah, I have a chicken pot pie in the oven right now. I'm looking forward to that.
Oof, pot pie. I recently handmade a shepherd's pie and it was delicious.
I hate you. Please make me one.
Took me like 2 hours.
All right. And the last question, question number 5. What is the answer to life, the universe, and everything?
Leave the world better than you found it and don't be a dick.
I also would have accepted 42.
Listen, I only watched Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy in a fever dream, and I don't remember 50% of it.
Well, you should definitely read the book, just saying.
That's fair. I will put it on my 100-page to-do list.
That's the wonderful thing about books is that you can just kind of like read them in the spare time.
I guess I could just do audiobook.
There's that too. I read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like roughly a dozen years ago. And I remember very explicitly while waiting in the airport in Kentucky, of all places, um, it was a layover. Give me a break. Uh, and I'm sitting there and I'm reading the book and I laughed out loud. That is the only time that has ever happened while reading a book. Like,
Books. I haven't read an actual like book in a long time. My attention span is so short now compared to when I was a kid, which should be the opposite.
I just placed an order for a book that's coming out next week.
Ooh.
Yeah, I also it's the third part of a trilogy. I just finished the first book the other day. I started the second book yesterday, and I reached out to the author to try and get her to be on the show.
Ooh. I hope you land that one.
I do too, because I really enjoyed the shit out of the first book in her series.
I keep reminding myself I wrote 3 novellas that I took off self-publishing on Amazon, and now they just exist in my Google documents.
To me, I don't know, but I asked her. She seemed intrigued, and then I sent her. She was like, she said she'd think about it, which generally means no. But hey, I then replied with, "No, it's not Mary Stewart. I forgot what is her name. Marina Lostetter, I think it is. I'm terrible with names.
I know authors by their books and not their names.
The series is called Numenon, and it's lovely. I'll put a link somewhere for it. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll put a link in the description. And like and subscribe. And it's just this really cool. And I don't want to explain it too much because it like kind of gives away some of like the whole thing.
The
But
notifications while you're at it.
what was that?
I told them to hit the notifications
Oh
while they're
yeah,
at it, so they know when you
ring that
post something.
bell. Or as the How Ridiculous guys say, get that bell on. And I really like their channel because I like dropping things from high places. Um, and it's just a great book. And then, I read a lot of science fiction and it's science fiction and I'm super down. The other author that I really want to get on the channel, but I haven't reached out to is Martha Wells, who wrote a series of books known as the Murderbot Diaries.
Well, then I'm intrigued.
Yes. Yes, she did. Marina Lawsetter did also write for Star Citizen. She wrote something for Aliens as well, like a short story. This is one of her first, if not her first, original works. But the Murderbot Diary started out as a series of 4 novellas and then became, she then put out a novel for it earlier this year. So the first novella is called All Systems Red. If you do not love that book in the first paragraph, you're not going to like that book.
I may have to look it up.
I highly recommend it. Clearly. So,
As an author myself, I should probably take time to read actual books.
yeah, but Martha Wells is just excellent. And I've talked with her a few times on Twitter. She's very nice. And I would love to have her on the show too. So, Martha Wells, if you're watching, I'm pretty positive you're not, but if you are, please be a guest on my show. I would love to sit down and talk Murderbot with you. But yeah.
If you
Well,
don't like reading, Timmy, I suggest audiobooks. That's how I read Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka.
dude, Metamorphosis is short.
It is, but I have ADHD, man.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I read it. It's not particularly good. But I'm glad I read it. I imagine it would be better if I read it in like its original language.
It's better as a think piece than it is like a book. Like you read it and you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, unless you have anything else, or you have anything else,
I'm trying to think if there's anything surprising I can say, but no, we're still working, toiling away. I'm really hoping in the next month we have the vertical slice done so we can be like, hey, here's a teaser. and a collection of everything that's actually in the game so I can stop talking about it like it's a puzzle.
Well, I mean, it's still going to be a puzzle, but, you know, you'll just be like, you'll like
Half
have
of
the
it, like
edges
all
done.
the corner pieces have been put together,
You know,
and the middle
probably
is missing.
you'll have the edges, you know? Then you can start doing the hard work.
Oh, vertical slice to me is basically the wholesome of your game that you would pitch to a developer. So like from start, not start to finish, but it basically covers everything your game is going to be about in a concise format so that publishers can see that you indeed know what you're doing.
Yeah. They are a pain in the butt to make.
Oh, they're so bad because they're not like a prototype. Prototypes are easy. Vertical slices are, hey, this prototype, this actually isn't a prototype. This is actually a whole thing. Um,
Yeah, the because it's you don't just have to make the game work. You also have to have, the art needs to be final or near final. Like
it
everything.
basically is a demo,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not for the public.
yeah. Um, yeah. The last game I worked on at High Voltage was Captain America for the Wii and the 3DS, and you know, that was a really fun vertical slice.
How do you even do a vertical slice for a game that's branded?
The same way you do a vertical slice for any other game. I mean, it's
So there's no weird stipulations on you can't do this to Captain America or we'll toss you into a lion's mouth.
uh kinda, except in the instance of that, so it was being published by Sega, so they went to High Voltage and they were like, "Hey, we want you to do this game. So here's a contract. It's contingent on you guys developing something that we feel is going to be, good." Uh, so they then, did the prototype. They liked the prototype. They did the vertical slice, and then Sega approved the game from that.
Sega, I wish they would sometimes just make music because their music is stellar.
Yeah, it is much easier, just real quick, in to learn words through the context as opposed to having to memorize the dictionary meaning of all of it. Uh, you know, fun fact: I actually probably only know what 40% of the words I say actually mean, and then I just know the rest through context.
If you want a hint for understanding certain words, if you know anything about Latin, it helps with 95% of words that you see, if as long as they weren't stolen from other languages.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And being halfway decent with English makes it possible to logic out what German words mean.
I don't know. Whenever I see German written out, my brain just
You
leaks out of my ear.
take some time and trust me, it works.
Are you telling me you can speak German?
No, I'm saying that if you give me enough time and like access, and I don't need Google, like I can at least look at a menu and figure out what the hell I'm ordering.
Oh, that's. I have noticed when it's spoken, I can kind of understand it. It's the written form my brain doesn't quite get.
See, the written form for me allows me to then see like the word structure, and then like when I can see that, because German has it tends to be very literal in terms of
Oh
like
yeah, they
the
have the
language.
crazy words that literally mean the thing that it is.
Yeah, where they just keep adding things to it. So, and when I can see it and then like English as a Germanic language and some level of the spelling is relatively the same, and then you can kind of just start putting it all together.
By the way, everyone, that's also how coding for video games works. You don't necessarily have to know what an instance and function is, just memorize what the code looks like.
To me, that is uh, ad, the weirdest Germanch I've
Is
ever
this
seen.
parlay French?
Yeah. We da, 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 da. I know speak German. The correct French of that would be Je ne parle pas l'Allemagne.
Are you wait, do you actually speak more than one language, or do you just know random things enough to be able to do so?
Je parle un petit peu de français.
I'm gonna take that as you know
I
a
speak a little
bit
bit
of
of French. I
Yes.
used to be fluent, actually.
Oh,
I went to a school that actually did teach foreign languages to Americans, and so that was nice.
you mean teach foreign languages correctly?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if they did it correctly, but we at least learned. Uh, so, well, yeah.
Well, is there a like big wrap-up question you ever do, or is it just kind of like,
It's just kind of, it's like most things involving me in life, it ends in a big disappointment. Uh, so, well, Maven, real quick, where can people find you aside from Freyr_indie on the social medias and things on the
so
internet?
the best way to find me for certain things is you can find my articles and short stories on Medium under Maven Varner, along with articles I did other places probably. And for my Twitter, it's no humans with a Z, not an S, and then A. I can actually just post my Twitter in the chat. I don't know what I'm doing.
I
Technology
don't think
exists.
that actually will work because I suck at Twitch.
Okay, well I can just type it out.
That works too. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. This is the first interview I've ever had on anything for like anything ever. So
Well, I imagine that other people are more professional than me and other interviews will go quite differently.
I
But,
prefer the casual thing. Professionalism makes me nervous.
yeah, me too. That's why I'm wearing a hoodie. And I have a duck.
A very well modeled duck. I like
His
that duck.
his name is Duckus. It was voted on by the audience.
Good voting audience.
There was also God, there were so many good names on that list that I wanted instead of Duckus. But I mean,
You should
like
just have multiple ducks.
I could. I'll think about it. Different duck for different sets.
And you can put hats on them.
Now you're overselling my abilities as a modeler. I got that from an asset pack.
Yeah,
So,
it only takes like 3 years to get good at Blender. It's fine.
oh, dude, Blender. What do you think I am? I use Maya.
Oh, right. Because Maya's taking over.
Well, no, because Maya has like things that make sense.
Right. Every time I open Blender, I panic, so I understand.
So, well, Maven, thank you for being on the show. I'll talk to you in just a minute. But until then, it is time for me to switch over to this camera angle and say thank you to my audience. It's wonderful having you all here. You are one of the main reasons why I continue doing the show, aside from like the fun and getting to talk to cool people and meet cool people and, all those things. For the rest of the week, let's see. And thank you for hosting. Yeah, of course, Alligator. Like, this is quite literally what I do right now. Tomorrow, I've got Jason Gluck, who's working on a game called Hover Quest. It's a VR game for the Oculus Quest, and then he's going to be on at 10 p.m. right here, same channel. Friday, Kane, guy who's working on another VR game called Sushi Ben, which strangely enough is actually about making sushi. And that's going to be at 9 p.m. And on Saturday, I've got a couple of guys, Nick and Bennett, who are working on a game called Depths of Sanity at 1 p.m. All of these times are, of course, Eastern because I'm in America and everybody does everything on Eastern time for some silly reason. I'm going to blame New York. So thank you all so much for joining us today. You all have been wonderful. Just remember, drink some water, have some vitamins, wear your masks, and be safe out there. The world's kind of crazy and we all kind of like do our own weird things, but a mask helps protect you and those around you. So that's really cool. I'm pretty sure I don't actually have to tell any of you all this. I'm just saying it because it helps fill time while I kind of figure out how I'm actually going to end the show. But I'll see you all later on the next episode of That Tom Clancy Show. Good night, everyone. Be safe and enjoy them games. Bye.